Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining today's Music Director Office Hours. I'm your host today. My name is Keiko McTingley, and I am a Senior Music Director at APM. I have been digging through our catalog for over a decade, helping creatives like you find the perfect tracks for their projects. So I'm really excited to share some tips and tricks today and get through all of your questions that you have on our website and how to find the music that you're looking for as quickly and efficiently as possible. As you have questions come up, please submit them through our Q&A. The Zoom feature, if you go to the bottom of your screen, you can submit questions through there. That way I can make sure I answer anything that you have. We also received several questions upon registration when you all registered, so I have a good amount to go through as well. If we don't get through everything in the next 45 minutes, we'll be in touch and make sure you have what you need. All right, so the first thing that I did, I wanted to take a quick poll to see what type of projects that you're working on. And it seems, I'll share the results with you all. Seems like we have a good amount of advertising, some trailers and promos, podcasts. That's great because I think some of these questions, as makes sense based on what you all submitted, will be great for answering stuff for these markets. One other thing I like to do is ask you if you prefer searching in light mode or dark mode. So let me go ahead and launch that poll as well. And then whatever you all prefer, I will do that on our website. If you didn't know, on our website, we can toggle between light mode and dark mode, which is a nice handy thing, just depending on what your preferences are. So, all right. While we have that poll going, I want to jump into our highlighted search feature of the month, and I'm excited to talk today about prompt search. We just launched this maybe a month ago or two, and it's our AI-powered search assistance, and it allows you to search using natural language instead of keywords and tags, and so sometimes it's a little bit easier to say what you're looking for as you would speak it. So we will dive into that. Oh my gosh, it's 50-50 split on these light and dark mode. So I almost never use light mode, so I say let's go for it. We'll use light mode. Okay, so let me go into our website so I can show you how prompt search works, and then we'll dive into your questions. All right. So I'm in light mode here. If you wanted to switch to dark mode, this little thing at the top right corner would do that for you. So I wanted to talking a little bit about prompt search. And when we talk about AI-powered tools, like I know there's a lot of concern reasonably over AI content in general. And I just want to clarify that APM stands firmly by having music made by humans. In fact, as you see on the front of our website page, human created, human curated. We are very focused on human curated and created content, but we use AI to help us build better search tools so that you can find that music as quickly as possible. If you have any questions about that, feel free to reach out to us. So I want to show you prompt search, and to get to prompt search, in the right corner of the search bar, there's this little sparkle icon, and I'm going to toggle over to there. And if it's your first time using prompt search, you'll be given like a little guide as to like how to walk through some examples of how to use it. Today, let's see. So in general, I would say tips wise, it's best to be as descriptive as possible. Something that I think that is cool, that's a little bit different than searching with tags and keywords, is that you can essentially describe the setting for what you're trying to put music behind, and then it'll come up with suggestions. So for example, let's say background music for a cocktail lounge. And so it's gonna think about it for a little bit and then come up with some suggestions for us based on this prompt. All right, let's listen to some of these. Yeah, I think these work pretty well for that, especially if you're looking for something kind of jazzy. And so you'll notice like I didn't put anything in here that indicated genre, but it's using the context of a cocktail lounge to infer that for you. So this is a powerful tool for those who don't, like speaking music isn't your first language. I would suggest checking out prompt search to see what else you could do. I think one other thing that I like to use it for are lyric-based searches where I'm looking for a specific theme. So let's say I am doing songs about overcoming challenges. All right, let's see what these are like.
Every breath I take is strong. Every wind that gets it all. I'm gonna fight until I've no more left to give. You think you've seen the best of me, but I'm never gonna quit. 'Cause it ain't over till it's over.
And you can tell by the titles of these songs, a lot of them are probably about overcoming challenges. And I think it's cool because it's not specifically only looking for songs with the words overcoming challenges in it, right? It's inferring what overcoming challenges means and suggesting songs that lyrically could fit that theme, even if it's not a direct match for overcoming challenges. So definitely check out prompt search and play around with it a little bit. Like I said, I would suggest being as specific as you can. One thing that I wouldn't suggest is putting specific references to like songs or movies and things like that. If you're trying to match a song that you already have in mind, I would recommend you actually go through our other AI-powered feature called Sonic Similarity, which one of you asked about this. So I'm just going to dive right into these questions. So switching back to our text-based search, the question was, what is the best way to do a sonic search? Has AI improved this? And so this is where I'm going to talk a little bit about sonic similarity. You can copy and paste a Spotify link, a YouTube link. You can also drag and drop an MP3 or WAV file into the search bar. And we are going to look for matches based on your reference. So let me pull over a song that I'm pretty sure most, if not all of you, would know. Okay, I'm gonna copy the link to this song here, and then I'll paste it into our search bar. And as it comes up with suggestions, like I said, you can use a YouTube link. You can also use Vimeo or SoundCloud. Let's see what these sound like.
If you love me or not, I want you to know that I like what you got. If there's clouds in the sky, you can dry your eyes. If there's rain up above, you can give your love every day. Can't believe that it's really you and all the loving things you do. Can't believe you're in love with me.
Yeah, so definitely getting somewhere with those. I think this is the first line of defense for me when I'm trying to match a song based off of a popular song. This is what I try first, see what it comes up with, and then refine my search from there. For example, if I really liked this particular track, I can then use this as my sonic similarity seed track by clicking on sounds like on the track itself, and then it'll put that song in your search bar and look for other similar ideas based on that. Okay, let's go to our next question. What is the most efficient way to search for music in the library? So we'll be talking about all kinds of different techniques for searching in our library. And we just talked about one of them, sonic similarity. Like I said, that's a great place to start. But sometimes if you need something more specific, keywords and tags are going to get you where you need to go faster. So since this is a pretty general question, my technique, I would say is to start with at least one genre, BPM range, and then around 3 descriptors like moods and characters and that kind of thing. If you don't know what to call the genre you're looking for, you're not exactly sure what moods or characters, like how to describe the music that you're looking for, this left panel is a great place to start for that because you can click on mood here and then start going through these keywords to see what is resonating with what you need. So let's just run through an example. Let's say I'm working on music for a sizzle reel and I need it to be energetic and exciting, and contemporary. When I get requests like this from advertisers often, as well as promos, I would say when they say contemporary, they almost always mean pop. So that's where I'm going to start. And then, like I said, I like to add a BPM range. From there, we know it needs to be energetic and exciting. So I find that anything above 120 BPM does that for me. If you want to get more specific, you can, or if you want to be more general, these ranges can kind of guide you to where you need to go. So I'll go 120 and hit enter on that. And then I add my moods and characters from here. So we said energetic, we said exciting, and oftentimes they tend to need to be uplifting. Okay. Then the last thing I'm going to do, I noticed that my sort over here is sorted based on release date, which means I have the most recent songs released at the top. Sometimes that's what you need, and sometimes you just want something that matches this as closely as possible, which is what relevance is. So I'm going to switch to relevance right now. And you can play around with that. You'll find some searches work better searching by release date, and sometimes it works better with relevance. We can dig more into that as we go, but let's see what these sound like. Yeah, I would say both of these are energetic and could work for sizzle reels. I like the second one in particular because it has a lot of breaks and edit points that you would be able to cut your sizzle reel to. And again, if I wanted more suggestions like this, I would click the sounds like button to see what else I can find. You'll also notice that underneath the waveform, there are the tags associated with this track. And that can also point you to some keywords that might be useful in narrowing down your search. You can click on any of them and that'll be added to your search bar to narrow your search from there. If you don't see the tags on your search results, if you go to customize right here, you'll see I have everything checked, including the tags. If I unchecked the tags, those would go away. Unchecked the waveform, that would go away. So you can customize the view based on whatever your preferences are. Yeah, let's also run through another example since this was a very general question and going through the technique of using one genre, one BPM range, and then a couple keywords. Let's say that we are looking for some like chill, relaxed hip hop. I would probably start with hip hop. And then since we said chill and relaxed, this time my BPM range is going to be slower, right? So let's say something more between 60 and 100. And then chill. relax. And then I like to use the word dreamy for this kind of stuff just because it makes it extra relaxing. So let's see what these sound like. Yeah, so you can see how using this formula, like I said, one genre, a BPM range, and at least 3 keywords is going to get you a pretty solid set of results to help you narrow things down from there. Hopefully that answers that question. All right, let's move on to our next one. What is the best search for something that is up-tempo but mature or somber? This is a really tricky one because we're trying to hit on a few things. It needs to be a fast tempo, but needs to feel a little bit sad. I would actually start with prompt search for this. So let me clear out my search and switch over to prompt search again by using that button in the right-hand corner of your search bar. Let's see, sad and melancholy. Usually I'm gonna add a genre to this to see like how we can narrow things down. So I'm gonna call it instrumental pop, but we need it with a fast tempo. Let's see what it comes up with. It's definitely tricky to get up-tempo things that are not happy. So okay, so not the most energetic, but I think the drums behind it kind of help like make it a little bit more propulsive. But definitely still feels a little bit sad and melancholy. And then just kind of looking over in the BPM ranges here, this gives me an idea of things that might be more up-tempo that I can maybe hone in on. So let's try this one that says it's 150 BPM. Okay, so yeah, a little bit serious. It's starting to build. And let's say like this strings vibe is actually more what I'm looking for. Then I can change instead of pop, I might say piano and oops, piano and strings with a fast tempo. Okay. I wouldn't consider that one a fast tempo, so let's keep moving on. Things are picking up a little bit there. Okay, I would say in general, prompt search, like these are some of these are working and some of these are still feeling a little bit slow. So let's say I want to switch back to my text search, my keyword search, and still going with the strings vibe. Maybe I would start with my genre, neoclassical. And then I find that something that can help make things feel like at a faster tempo, even if it's not necessarily a fast BPM, are arpeggiated strings and like other busy elements that can help make it feel fast, even if the tempo isn't like super fast. So I'm gonna do arpeggio. Oops, I spelled that wrong. Arpeggio. And then then we need it to be sad, but we want it to feel faster. So this time I'm going to actually put in a BPM range. I'm going to go with anything faster than 120. And let's hear these. This is definitely more in line with what I was thinking of, something that's somber and mature, but those chugging strings kind of drive it to make it feel a little bit faster. So hopefully those are techniques that can help you find sad and melancholy music at a faster tempo. But if you have more questions on that, I'd be happy to talk through them with you. Okay, moving next to our next question. What is the best way to find music that builds emotion or tells a story? I would say I would like to use I like to use waveforms first to kind of like guide me to tracks that I can tell are have movement and are building and have different sections. So if you don't have your waveforms turned on, I definitely recommend doing that because already just looking at these, you can see like which ones are pretty stagnant like this versus ones that have different sections and build like these. So let's run through an example of how we might find music that builds emotion or tells a story. So I'll use that word building. And then building emotion usually implies something kind of serious, but maybe not too dark. So I'm gonna use, if I go over to mood, and this will kind of like, I know our metadata really well, right? But maybe you don't. So I like to use for something that like feels a little bit more heartfelt and emotional. This tender tag is the parent tag of all of these other emotions. And so if I use tender, it's going to capture all of these things. Whereas if I tried lighthearted, it's only going to look at lighthearted tracks. But maybe lighthearted and hopeful work for me. So I'm going to grab tender as the parent tag to encompass all of those child tags. And then maybe I also want something uplifting. So we're looking for tracks again that build and help tell a story. And like I said, just looking at the waveforms, you can tell a lot of these have different sections and go somewhere. So that's already a good sign. And then if you want to narrow it down from here, like we talked about, adding a genre or BPM can really help you do that. If you want something in this case, a lot of times you might be looking for orchestral music or something with strings. A lot of that lives under the score and instrumental tag here. So I might add that. And I might add cinematic to really capture that like filmmaking storytelling vibe. Cool. All right, let's move on to our next question. What is the difference between an instrumental track and an underscore? This is a good question. It can be a little bit confusing. And the easiest way for me to show to tell you is to just show you. So let me pull up a track that could be a good example for this. And so you can find all of the instrumental and underscore versions by going to the versions related to the track. In this case, this example, the main version is a vocal track, and you can tell it says vocal lead right here. But since we're talking about the difference between instrumentals and underscores, an instrumental version is usually the one in this case, it would be the one without the vocal lead. Sometimes it's an instrumental main. It didn't have vocals in the first place, and it's going to have all of the melodies and the things that make it a nice melodic song. Your underscore is going to have probably a lot less melody, a little bit more stripped back, something that will sit under dialogue a little easier. So let me just play this instrumental track for you. You're hearing brass, but that melody is gone. So that's the difference between instrumental and underscore. And sometimes when you really need to strip things back, underscore is the way to go. And then if you need to continue stripping things back, sometimes there are like alternate versions that are like the light version, or you can go to the stems to really dig into making that mix custom for what you need. And that actually is a good segue to another question we received, which is, can I filter my search to find music that works well with voiceovers? I find that underscores are usually best for stuff that has voiceovers because it's going to be less intrusive compared to an instrumental main or obviously something with vocals. So the way that you can get to our underscore tag, I'm going to clear my search out, and all the way in the bottom left-hand corner under track type, I would pick underscore. And then I kind of like to reinforce this with the instrumental only quick filter up here all the way at the top, just to make sure I don't even want like backing vocals or vocal textures that might get in the way of my voiceover. And then from there, oftentimes, let's say, if it's a voiceover, it could be something that's like a pharma spot or medical, or corporate, that kind of thing. So let's dive into an example of that. I'm going to use our science and technology corporate tag to help me narrow things down. And then oftentimes you want it to be a little bit hopeful or have some kind of like not depressing vibe. So gonna throw that in there as well. All right, let's see what these sound like. Yeah, so very basic. Simple beats, not intrusive. These are all, yeah, very simple underscores that I think could work under voiceover. Let's say if we could interpret this question slightly differently in like you're working on a show and there's a scene where there's dialogue. And in this case, maybe you don't want corporate music, you want something more artist driven. I would suggest using our artist. Let's see. Let's use the performer series. The artist showcase and performer series gives you like very similar results. Performer series encapsulates a little bit more. So, and this is all music that has been written and performed by artists who are, they're touring artists or they have a fan base, whatever. They're real artists, not just people writing library music. So if you need something artist driven, I definitely recommend going to our performer series. So you might do performer series and then again, go back to your underscore track type And then like if I were to add a genre, maybe pop. Yeah, so they feel a little bit more indie, a little bit more poppy, less corporate, but still work for dialogue scenes and voiceover. Thank you for that question. Okay, moving on to our next one. Can I search for music based on the instruments that I want to hear? Definitely. For example, I tend to use this feature a lot when I'm looking for jazz music with a specific like instrument lineup. So that's the example I'll use for this. I'll start with jazz. And then if you go over to the left panel under instruments, you can start digging into whatever instruments you might need. And you can use this search bar here to kind of help you narrow in on what you're looking for. With jazz, I tend to use upright bass, which we have in here as double bass. So I would start there. And then let's say it's again something where maybe there's talking over it, and instruments like saxophone and trumpet are just going to get in the way of that. You can also exclude instruments based on your needs. So for example, I might go saxophone and hit not, as in I don't want saxophone. And I might then go to trumpet and go to not, no trumpet, no sax, no trumpet. And then for jazz, maybe I would also add piano. Okay, let's hear some of these. Yeah, so we have our basic, most of these are our basic jazz trios, piano, bass, and drums. No sax, no trumpet. And then to show you how you could, like, for example, let's say you do want saxophone or trumpet, you don't care which one it is, but either or both would work for you. You can go back to your instruments. In this case, I'm going to click the little down arrow on here and then hit edit. It'll open up my drawer right back to where I left off. And I'm going to change my not to an or. And so now you'll see in my search bar, it says saxophone or trumpet, meaning that it could have saxophone or it could have trumpet or it could have both. And then that's how like I would kind of customize building out my own instrument lineup. Excluding instruments that are getting in the way, adding instruments that you know you definitely want to hear, and then using or to help you kind of be like, well, I don't care if it's acoustic guitar or electric guitar, I just needed to have guitar. Like that's a good time to use or. Yeah, that's how you use the instrument filter. Okay, next question. How can I find music with natural edit points or builds for trailers and promos? I would say the easiest way to look for trailer and promo music is to use our trailer quick filter in the left panel. I can click on trailers right here, and this is like hand curated trailer music that we've really vouched as being good for trailers and promos. A few caveats to this. You'll see within trailers, we also have a lot of sound design, like these little short elements. You can see one here, it says deep boom, and it's only 13 seconds long. I like to exclude those when I'm looking for melodic trailer music, just because they tend to kind of get in the way. And we're working on ways to improve that so that you can kind of choose trailers or sound design and not get it all in one go. But the way that I tend to kind of like navigate around the sound design is I actually use our duration filter to look for tracks that are longer than like at least a minute, because all of our sound design tends to be pretty short and all of our trailer tracks tend to be at least 2 minutes long, if not longer. So I would probably start there and I would go with at least 1 minute and as long as it'll go after that. And then let's say you're looking for usually trailers, it's going to be dramatic. And if I'm working on a like TV promo, let's say, a lot of times they like vocals, lyrics for that like dramatic, moody, lyric driven thing. So I added our has lyrics quick filter from the left panel as well. Let's hear some of these.
Sounds of the rude world hurting.
This one seems like it's missing the vocals. I'm gonna have to, it says that there are vocals here, but I don't hear them. So um, I'll have to report that one. I think it's just the wrong audio. But yeah, so these are all vocal tracks, dramatic and good for. So I would say in general, when you're looking for trailer and promo music, definitely start with your trailers over a minute long if you don't want sound design, and then add whatever qualifiers, description from there, keywords from there. All right, next question. Let's see. Where was I? How can I set up alerts for new music that matches my favorite styles? I love this question because it highlights something that I think would be a really cool feature. So we don't have a way to like subscribe to get alerts when music has been added based on like a search that you have done in the past. But I love that idea and I will definitely share it with our team to build that in. In the meantime, I can suggest doing, so let's say this search right here is working really well for you and you want to make sure that anytime we get new releases that fit these keywords, you know about it, right? So I would say go ahead and favorite the search, and you can do that by clicking the heart in the search bar. And then I would say, vocal trailers. Hit save. And then next time you come back to the site, everything's fresh, whatever, you go to my APM and then favorites. And then you can also favorite tracks and albums by clicking the hearts on them, but we're talking about favorite searches here. You can see vocal trailers. If I click on this, it drops those keywords right into the search bar. And then this is a good time where I would sort my results by release date, descending, and I hit apply. And now I'm going to have all of the newest tracks. We already had actually some of the newest tracks at the top. All the newest tracks at the top. And we get new releases on the first Wednesday of every month. So you could set up your own reminder on the first Wednesday of every month. It's APM release day. Let's go check the website to see if I have any new tracks that fit the favorite searches that I've saved. And you'll have all the newest stuff at the top waiting for you there. But thank you for the question because I really like the idea. We'll have to look into doing that. All right, we have just a couple more minutes. There were two questions kind of like admin related that I wanted to address real quick. The first one, what should I do once I find a track I want to license? Reach out to your account director. And if you don't know who your account director is, you can hit up support@apmmusic.com and we'll put you in touch with the right people. One thing also, if you go to my APM and then my account, you'll see your account executive name right here. So that's another way to find your contact. Okay, and then the second question was, how can we best help you to help us get the most from your services? Which is a really nice question. We want to do anything that we can to help you have the best experience. So I would say the best way to help us help you is to get in touch. Get in touch if you need help finding music. Our music directors, including myself, there's a whole team of us who spend all day playlisting and finding relevant music for your projects. So all we need to know is what you're looking for and when you need it. If you're having trouble finding what you need, please reach out. We would be happy to help with that. If you're having trouble with the website and you need help troubleshooting, reach out to support@apmmusic.com so we can help you out there with any login issues or any questions you have about the website. And if you have any feedback, if there are certain features that you would like to see on our site, we love to know about all of these things. So the best way for us to be able to help you is to know what you need, get in touch, and we would be happy to help. So that wraps up our 45 minutes. And I have the support email here for you to jot down if you need. But we also have a live chat feature on the site. I'll point that out right here. It's in the bottom right-hand corner. If you click on that, you can get in touch with us that way as well. If you prefer to do live chat over email, we would be happy to help. Thank you so much for joining us. If it was your first time here, I hope it was helpful. If you've joined us a few times now, we really appreciate you coming back and learning more about our website. I hope that you learn a little bit more each time. And as I said, if you ever have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Enjoy the rest of your day.